thing is, I do believe there was talk about these things. I believe if we study history, the Confederates were able to shoot pterodactyls, back in the Civil War, and they spread these things out. Anybody can look it up online.
Google it
They
yourself.
spread these things out, and this is a historical fact. So, they spread this thing out, and it's got a huge winglet. It was a pterodactyl they shot. So, of course, these things have been around. Now, they went extinct, obviously, slowly, but surely. And so...
What I'm saying is Jesus wrote a dinosaur to work. That's history. It's in the Bible. How to Train Your Dragon.
Historical facts.
And if you don't believe it, do your own research. Pull up Google. You'll find the picture, I promise.
Oh my God.
Thank you, John Gleason, Godless engineer, for gifting me this beautiful moment. Y'all remember when they tried to cancel Steven Spielberg for posing with an animatronic triceratops animal rights activist?
Back it up.
Hit it from the back.
Cloaca. Historical facts.
Eat my ass, BP. You're down here bailing on the rest of us because you don't want to process your grief and shame like a normal person by drinking and mistreating strangers.
No, Rick. It is you who must nibble my cloaca, or bird asshole.
Everyone knows what a cloaca is.
back in the Civil War, and they spread these things out. Anybody can look it up online. They spread these things out, and this is a historical fact. So, they spread this thing out, and it's got a huge winglet. It's a pterodactyl they shot. So, of course, these things have been around. Now, they went extinct, obviously, slowly, but surely. And so...
Paul Bunyan was sharing some Funyuns with his pet velociraptor.
Whoa.
Oh, you thought it was an ox? Roll back the clock. Let me knock the socks off. Historical facts.
I didn't cut out. You heard me. Are you a pervert or something? Okay.
What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? I'm the Godless Engineer, and I critically analyze apologists' claims to give you the best arguments and information so that you can stand up and use your voice. Tonight, we're going to be taking a look at... the notification came in. Daniel M.
Just a little bit of money.
I got to get my Jesus ones put up. I recorded some, just haven't edited them yet. I got to get them edited. But Daniel M says, David says, good night. Good night there, David. I hope you have a great weekend there, bud. I know I am, because I'm going to be playing Resident Evil and Diablo this weekend. That's going to be fun. Of course, spending time with the lovely KC over there as well. It's always a good time with KC. Yeah, hi. So anyways, tonight we're going to be taking a look at an apologist who's trying to fearmonger his audience. But he's got 3 questions that apparently atheists commonly ask. And but we're only going to be covering one of them because the full video is like 22 minutes long. That's ridiculous for a Friday night stream. But we are going to cover one of them, and it's the one that the Skeptic Mafia selected for tonight. And Casey didn't pick this. She picked William Lane Craig. What?
I didn't know it was William Lane Craig.
That's right, honey. You were in the dark about it being William Lane Craig, so it's not your fault. You're okay. But anyways, so tonight we're talking about whether or not God is omnibenevolent. And this is a topic that comes up, so it's not exactly a strong man to say that atheists bring up this common talking point or this question. Normally it's in response to some things, but also, it can be of some evidential value as far as pushing back against the Christian message. So tonight we're going to be discussing whether or not God is omnibenevolent. That nerdy fucking kid with, the magnifying glass on the ants in the sky. That guy. Anyways, if you want to fuck around and find out whether or not, if you want to fuck around and find out why God is considered to be omnibenevolent, then please stay tuned. In a second, hold on. What's up, heathens? I just real quick wanted to let y'all know about a new course featuring Dr. Richard Carrier. He's going to educate all of us about New Testament studies. And it's from a position where it's palpable for everybody. This is provided through MythVision. Derek has done a lot of work over there to get great scholars to teach various courses. It's really affordable, so if you want to take a course from a scholar of ancient history, then definitely hit up the link down below to go and sign up for Dr. Carrier's new course, New Testament Studies for Everyone. Or you could always go to godlessengineering.com/NT Studies course. So please check it out. Let me know if you like it or not. I'm going to be doing the course, so I hope to see you there. All right, so let's head on into the show tonight. I hope all of y'all are ready for this. I know that I am, because I definitely want to find out why God is omnibenevolent, considering a whole lot of things that we'll get into later. But first, I do want to let you guys know about, number one, that new course that Dr. Carrier is teaching over there on MythVision. It's reasonably priced right now. If you want to learn more about New Testament studies from a very basic sort of point of view, definitely hit up the link down below to sign up for this course in New Testament studies. If you are interested in the religion topic, especially Christianity, it could be the perfect course for you. So definitely hit up that link down below in the description. And segueing into what we do here on Godless Engineer, and that is donate to wonderful charities. And this month, we've donated to Americans United. What is that right? Americans United, AU, I believe.
Yes.
Americans United. Yes, Americans United. Right. Got it. I don't know why I brain farted on that. Stupid COVID. Anyways, so we've donated this month to Americans United, but you can still help us donate to very worthy causes. Next month, I'm not sure what we're going to pick, but typically we pick very, I guess, liberal topics to really help our communities out with. In the past, we've donated to like the Transgender Law Center or Bridget, who's an organization to help women get to, any kind of clinic or any kind of health care that they might need. And so we've donated to all these great causes. If you want to help us donate, or if you want to be sure that your money is going to be going to a worthy cause, you could be rest assured here on the GE channel, because a portion of profits that we make off the channel, that would be all profits, a portion of that will go to a charity. So this month it's Americans United. If you want to, you can send a super chat. That'll help us out, and you'll also be able to take part in the show, have your own opinion read right on air, and I usually interact with whatever super chat's sent, as you could already tell by Daniel's tweet. But also you can become a member. You get to help pick the videos on Friday nights. If you become a member, there's a poll, and you get to leave a comment about the video. And just I saw a number of comments on the actual video that I posted for the members, and just letting y'all know it needs to be on the post for me to be able to read it. So if you made that mistake, consider copy pasting. But in any case, you could do all that. You could send a super thanks. A super thanks would help as well. So, let's just get right on into the, that's enough shilling. Let's get right on into the comments, because we got comments. We got Brocephus coming by. We've got Today I Learned. Today I Learned's first. I'm forgetting my structure already. Anyways. All right. Y'all ready for some Today I Learned?
I'm ready.
Yeah, you ready to learn something? All right, here we go. Today I learned. I've been practicing my Brosifa singing voice. Is that coming along pretty good? Yeah, is it good? All right, first up, I wanted to bring this up because I heard Jimmy I saw Jimmy on Twitter, Jimmy Snow from, The Line and other channels. He was like, who did the taste test for plutonium? And it's this guy. Donald Mastic accidentally tasted plutonium and was banned from lab work. Despite this, he earned a physics PhD, started a highly successful interior landscape company, which is kind of a weird thing to do with a physics PhD, raised a family, and died of natural causes, all with a few micrograms of plutonium in his body. I wonder if it stayed in his body the entire time, or if he pissed or shit it out. I'm just kind of curious how that moves through your digestive system. It must have stayed in the entire time.
He had micrograms and it was in his mouth. It's not like it's not like it went down.
You don't think he fully ingested it?
It's microgram. It probably just dissolved into his tongue. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I could see it absorbing into his tongue. I guess. I guess I just wasn't sure what form of plutonium. If it was plutonium dust, it being micrograms, that might make sense. I guess in my mind, I was thinking that it was like a chunk of plutonium, just a small itty bitty chunk of plutonium that he might have swallowed or something like that. The dust makes more sense though. Yeah. Anyways, interesting to note, the person who taste tested plutonium was Donald Mastic. Apparently it tastes, I can't remember what he said it tastes like, but it tastes weird. Fruity? I think it was fruity. I think it just tasted fruity. But in any case, he taste tested it so that we don't have to. And, the lawyers are telling me do not taste test plutonium if you have access to it. Yep. Okay. All right. If you don't hate the monarchy over there in Britain enough, here's another reason why. Today I learned that the reigning monarch of 14 countries, King Charles III, that's the British royal family, right? Mm-hmm. Is allowed to travel without a passport and drive without a license. He don't have to have no license. He owns everything. It's like, do you have your license? Look at my face, motherfucker. That's who I am. That's all the license I fucking need. The Sinister Porpoise did a super chat saying, keep talking and take my money. I will keep taking your money.
Just a little bit of money.
Thank you so much. Finally, on Today I learned that in Iceland, there are no McDonald's restaurants. Yeah, Iceland has no McDonald's restaurants anywhere in the country. McDonald's left Iceland on 30 October 2009 as a result of the 2008-2011 Icelandic financial crisis and high import tariff on imported ingredients, which required the prices of their products to increase. And so McDonald's was like, increase prices, decrease profits. Fuck that. We're just moving out of this country. I'm fairly certain that Iceland is a better country for it though. So, I feel like this is value added. I mean, McDonald's left out. So now we don't have people eating 3 double cheeseburgers every day. That's me. That's what people say about me. I eat 3 double cheeseburgers. Anyways, so that's kind of interesting, right? There's what country doesn't have any McDonald's? Like that could come up like on a trivia night or something like that. I found out recently that I'm ill prepared for a trivia night because I don't find the interesting things that are used for trivia. Maybe that's where I should start pulling this stuff from. Just find out trivia questions and then just start putting the answers up on here. Yeah, I could do that. That would be interesting. But anyways, so interesting note there. That's all that I got for Today I Learned today, so I hope that you learned something. I know that I did. mainly that Iceland is better for not having McDonald's, in my own opinion. But we also have some comments to go over and one syllogism. Are you ready for a syllogism, honey?
Sure.
Do you know what a syllogism is?
I'm sure you're going to tell me.
Yeah. Okay.
You should probably tell everybody.
Oh, yeah. A syllogism is a formal logical argument.
Okay.
From Cameron Bertuzzi. It's like, shit, no, he sprung it on us. Fucking Cameron, huh? Yeah, it's an idiot sandwich, and I'm sure that you'll probably have a lot of opinions about it. All right, y'all ready for comments? I know I am. Comments of the day. Prepare to facepalm yourself in the next week. Woohoo, buddy. All right. Let's get to the comments, shall we? Now, we're not going to start off with the silly syllogism, but we are going to start here. This guy right here says, not a chance mRNA will enter my body, ever. Nice try, but go another route. Who wants to tell him? Who wants to tell him that mRNA is already coursing through his body? I mean, people probably did, but he probably doesn't believe him because he's like, I don't got no mRNA. Well, then how do your cells talk to, like, how do they produce proteins and amino acids and shit? Well, they just do it through mRNA, you dipshit.
Maybe that's why he's so fucking stupid.
You're right, honey. That's probably why he's so fucking stupid. All right, the mRNA thing will never get old to me because this just shows a fundamental misunderstanding of how your body works. And what makes it even worse is that even in North Alabama, we don't have the best schools in Alabama in general, but here in North Alabama, like, we still get taught the basics of, like, cell function. Okay, like, this is basic. I believe it's like maybe it's high school or even 8th grade middle school level shit. Okay, that at least I was taught. I can't remember the exact grade I was in. It was at least middle school. But anyways, this is basic shit that's taught places, right? That mRNA is in your cells, and your cells use mRNA in order to produce amino acids and all this other stuff for, like, just basic function. This is taught everywhere. And this guy's like, not mRNA. I know that's going to reprogram me into a Borg. And, you know, it's just, it will never get, it'll never get old. It'll never get old to me. Sirnian said proteins. Yeah, well, they use amino acids to build the protein chains and everything like that, but the entire mRNA message builds proteins and shit. Yeah, you're right. Anyways, next up is the silly syllogism. You ready for the silly syllogism, honey?
I'm ready.
All right, number 1. Everything that begins to exist has a cause. Number 2, the universe began to exist. Number 3, the universe has a cause. Number 4, which is where the train wreck kind of starts. That cause is God. 5, the conclusion, God exists. Boom. Drop mic. I don't have a mic that I can drop, but I've got nail clippers case that I can. So, this is a basic Kalam argument, obviously, and Cameron just put it up into a syllogism. So I'm fine with everything up until 4, obviously. 4 and 5 are kind of fuckered.
He just, like, made this fucking giant leap.
Yeah, I know, right?
How do you know that causes God? What brought you to that conclusion?
Yeah.
Here comes the gravy train.
Emerson Conger says mitochondria is a powerhouse of the cell. Bit late, I know. It definitely is. There, Emerson, thank you so much for that super chat. And the guy that particular super chat's concerned with doesn't fucking understand like you say mitochondria. It's like, where'd you watch it? I don't have them kind of molecular machines in my cells. Anyways, so obviously I have a problem with number 4. That's kind of where this whole syllogism goes off the rails for me personally, because I'm personally fine with everything that begins to exist having a cause. The universe began to exist, like, and I would have phrased it, the universe inflated, or the universe came into existence or whatever, and therefore there is a cause for that, meaning that there is something that caused the universe to inflate, and there's an explanation for that. Which on a scientific route, you would say that there was a fluctuation in a quantum scalar field that went from a false vacuum state into a true vacuum state, and therefore released an immense amount of energy that inflated the universe. And this energy was so hot and dense that nothing could form or travel through it. It was just so hot and dense that for 300,000 years, not even light could travel through it. Not even atoms could form. I'm fine with all of that. Now, what caused that fluctuation? Oh, we don't know. It could have been something that just happens, or nothing. And on a quantum scale, you don't necessarily need a cause for anything. And the cause can actually come after the effect. The quantum theory is a little wonky, but it's pretty cool. But anyways, so number 4 jumps to that cause is God. And that's where, he's really got to make his arguments for this to work. But you see, Cameron loves to just put up these syllogisms as like a fishing rod, right? Like this is his fishing rod. He's casting it out and he's seeing what he can catch. Can he catch somebody out there that's just going to like go ape shit over this? Yeah, he's begging for attention. That's right. He's fishing for attention. You know what I do? What? Not pay a fucking lick of attention to him. Yeah, and that's a good tactic there, honey. Don't pay any kind of fucking attention to Cameron. But anyways, so he's got his own arguments that he can make that causes God. I've heard Frank Turek make it, William Lane Craig, which I think William Lane Craig is probably more capturing Christianity's speed there, but I know that Cameron recently became Catholic, so maybe it's that Bishop Barron, what the fuck ever, could be more his speed. But the thing is that it fails at 4, and that makes this syllogism unsound, because you're not actually substantiating number 4. You're just claiming number 4. I feel like in a good syllogistic argument here, you would have arguments in between 3 and 4 that you could cite for 4 to, justify claiming it. So, I think Cameron needs to work on his syllogisms a little bit, or just don't post them. That would probably be preferable. Just don't fucking post them. So we got a bunch of comments from not only the channel, but the Facebook page to go over tonight. We got Josh Simpson up first. He says, "No, you just believe in logic, which assumes an absolute standard which you have no justification by your own standard. It's profane. It's like saying fuck in the middle of mass." I don't know what they mean by it's profane. Like, I don't understand that. But him saying that we have no justification by your own standard. Well, the laws of logic are something that we have observed about reality. And this is one of the few presumptions that the more methodological naturalism has. Because we presume that the laws of logic operate uniformly throughout the universe. And that's what we've observed. And so that's just the observation. If we ever find a place where the laws of logic don't necessarily, apply, then we admit that. We would admit that, and we would change things. Now, laws of logic, as far as like philosophy goes and everything like that, that's probably not going to change. Like when we're talking about the quantum layer of this reality, the logic kind of goes out the window. Like the same kind of laws that apply to things above the quantum scale aren't going to apply to the quantum scale, because that works a little bit differently there as far as we can observe it, because like I said before, like the cause can come after the effect on a quantum scale. So that logically doesn't make sense. But as far as logic goes in philosophy and computer science and all this other stuff, that's probably not going to change unless something else radically changes. So that is a pretty solid assumption that we can make, that the laws of logic are applied uniformly throughout the universe as far as we would experience them. So I don't as far as having a justification for it, the justification would just simply be that's what we've observed. If we observe something different, then we will change the laws of logic. But until that point, the laws of logic are just going to be there. So it's important to note that the laws of logic are a description based on our own subjective experiences about the universe, but as much bias as we can has been removed from it. The sinister porpoise,
Just a little bit of money.
says computer science is awesome. I agree, except for the time I took a computer science course. I mean, I'm a software engineer. Computer science is a small portion of that particular field. And I had to take discrete math is what it was called. And it was basically a computer science course for logic, creating logical arguments and all this other stuff. It was very tedious, and I don't do tedious well. I just don't. But in any case, Sirnian added or add to them. Yes, that's a good point. Changing them, not necessarily changing the laws that are already there, but also you could add to the laws of logic. So there's that. But anyways, we spent enough time on Josh here. Let's get to this claim right here. Geneva Fry says, I believe you stole, inadvertently I'm sure, my friend's moniker. She wrote the Godless Engineer fanzine back in the 70s. I was born in 1984, and I didn't come up with Godless Engineer until 2010. And if, I know for a fact that it can't be trademarked or anything like that, because I tried trademarking it, and the show Godless actually shut me down because apparently Godless is too close to Godless Engineer, and there's some kind of weird legal logic about how the engineer doesn't change the word godless enough to where I could trademark it. So I'm just fucked with it. So
Also, it was because you're godless and an engineer.
right. I'm godless and an engineer. Those are the two things that describe me. At least the point when I picked Godless Engineer, that's what I was really focused on, and I'm still focused on it. So, but I didn't steal it from anybody, and this is the first time I've heard about some Godless Engineer fanzine back in the 70s. I'll have to see if I could find something about that. I don't know. It sounds like something that would only be printed and not really available anywhere. Yeah. Next up is GG, who says, I don't know is an honest answer. He should apply it more. I posted some content relating to your communication techniques. Hopefully it can help. Have a nice day. Well, I appreciate people trying to help me out a little bit. No, I don't. I do appreciate it, but at the same time, this is one of those situations where it's like I didn't ask for your fucking opinion. And I don't know what they're talking about because I went to their channel, didn't find a single video.
You went to their channel?
I did.
Oh my god. I'd be like, okay, thanks for your fucking opinion. Not really, and never have thought about it again.
I mean, I was like, did they put something up about me? And so I went to their channel. They don't have any videos directly talking to me about anything or whatever. So I don't even know what in the fuck they're talking about. But in any case, I feel like my communication technique is just fine. So I'll sit over here and I'll communicate the way that I do, and you can just not watch the fucking channel if you don't like it. That's my opinion about it. Have a nice day. Have a Godless Engineering day. No, have a Disney day. Thank you for checking in with Godless Engineer. Next up, since I've been doing shorts, I've been getting a lot of people pushing back on a few of them. This one Christian one that I've got right here, and then there's another one that's where I say that I found the Muslim array comfort. And of course the one concerning Islam is got a bunch of Muslims on it, and then this one's got Christians on it. They both kind of use the same rhetoric. And it's usually insulting. So Christopher Walker says, evolution doesn't have mountains of evidence. It doesn't even pass a scientific method. There is tons of proof of God. Answer this. Did unliving matter make living matter? I'm waiting. So I would say no, unliving matter didn't make living matter as a way of unliving matter being some kind of sentient thing. Living organisms developed on their own, and this is through the various chemical processes that we know occur in abiogenesis. And we've seen amino acids being able to form without any kind of intervention from an intelligent being or a sentient being. We've seen them develop naturally on their own. We've been able to observe these amino acids self-organizing as well. So we don't have every single line drawn, but we have enough points on it to where we can actually make like we can draw the line and we can see how it would have happened, or at least come up with plenty of good hypotheses as to how it could happen. Which there are plenty of them. There's panspermia, which is,
2 Timothy, what the fuck ever, shut the fuck up.
So there's panspermia. That's where organic materials were on an asteroid that got deposited here. There's the idea, like the RNA world idea, where RNA developed first and then DNA, and then organisms began to develop. There's also the idea that organisms would have first or not organisms, but organic material, like these amino acids, would have started to form around these gas vents in the sea. So, I mean, there's plenty of different ideas out there about how life could have started. And while we can't say for 100% certain what that process was, we have much better ideas than God. Now let's go to there's a tons of proof for God. Where? I mean, I feel like this is a look at the trees kind of argument, because that's probably what they would tell me. Or they're talking about all of the arguments that have already been presented and already been knocked down by plenty of people. So either way you go about it, I feel like there's not tons of proof for God. But evolution does have mountains of evidence. We have tons of evidence for evolution happening. Now, as far as whether or not God had a hand in it, I don't think that science can necessarily say. Theistic evolutionists obviously think God had a hand in kicking off evolution, but they accept that evolution did occur. And God probably guided evolution along its path or something like that. That would be theistic evolutionists. But, just basic scientific evolution doesn't require an intelligent being in order for it to happen. It just happens because it's a natural process that happens. So thank you, Christopher, for trying, but I would encourage you to read a book and try again sometime and just don't leave it on my channel. I just would rather not hear about it. Answering a quick question this is another one. I guess we'll get to the Islam short, or the Islamic short, some other time. But Brandon Blunt says, I was atheist before my NDA. That's a near-death experience, by the way. I promise you on my son's grave there is something afterwards. Yeah, that is kind of sad there. I would not, like, even though I don't feel any kind of like emotional connection to like even my son's grave or someone's grave, I still wouldn't be like, I promise you on so-and-so's grave. Like, I feel like that has some connotations there that I just am uncomfortable with. So I would never do that. But this guy did do it, and I can tell you right now, NDEs are never going to convince me. And I don't think that they should convince anybody, because we don't know exactly what happens in your brain when it's dying or when it's being brought back. Like, if you die in your brain and you've been without oxygen for so and so minutes, we don't exactly know, like, when these experiences happen. They probably happen as the brain is dying or as the brain is coming back to life or getting more oxygen. And we cannot actually discern that you're having some kind of out-of-body experience, or that you're going to, like, your consciousness is going to some other place. We can't actually determine that. So these NDEs are not good evidence for the afterlife, because more than likely they're just an experience that your brain is giving you as it's trying to stay alive. Like, this is like a mechanism in the brain. So, I mean, it's just never going to convince me. But anyways, that's just me, I guess. Not just me, but that's my opinion. Anyways, that's going to be it for the comments tonight. If you will, please share out the videos to your angry religious friends, and I guess maybe family or something like that, so that we get some more crazy people commenting on shit. Although the shorts are really proving to be a good fishing ground for these types of comments. So I'm going to keep doing the shorts. If you like the shorts that I've been putting up here on Godless Engineer, be sure to let me know either down in the comments or in the side chat right now. I'd really love to hear it if you guys are enjoying that kind of content. I'm enjoying making them, and it's not really that big of a deal for me to produce them. So I hope that you guys are enjoying that. But anyways, we do have Brocephus. Hey, Brocephus! I got to go get Brocephus because he's got to explain some weird shit for us. So I'll be right back. And, well, I won't be. Brocephus will be here right after the little intro thingy. So I'm going to go get him right now. Hey, Brocephus! Did you feed him today?
Yeah. I always feed him.
You always feed him? Yeah. Okay. Well, he's probably sleeping it off. I'll be right back.
Shitty ass science! Bring out the answers of science shit really wrong.
Holy shit, that was loud as fuck.
Yeah, that was loud.
Hey, how you doing? I have to say, I really enjoyed that food that you served me earlier. Yeah, I know GE is on some kind of milkshake blend or something right now, so I really enjoyed those boneless wings that you served. I ate it right in front of them. I was like, boneless wings, aren't they so good? They're good, aren't they, GE? Oh, you've got to drink a milkshake. Oh, poor you.
That's rude. And we had Mexican for lunch.
Yeah, y'all had Mexican. I had boneless wings. I know, because that's just how I roll. I eat boneless wings, and I eat pizza, and I drink beer.
I know.
That's my diet. That's how I got this physique.
I'm on
we got a couple of super chats coming in. Shit. There we go.
Woo! That's KC's money.
Germany.
Daniel M says, "Woo! I love poopy butt science." Oh, poopy butt science. Yeah, I know. Daniel and David, they love poopy butt science. And then Quentin Van Booven says, "Sending in my weekly tithe. Hope I get a good seat on the ride to hell." Well, you definitely are. You're on a highway to hell in the front seat. See, it worked. Anyways, all right, what am I explaining tonight? We got God saying, "Hey, Ezekiel, you didn't eat that whole bag of shrooms, did you?" And then Ezekiel is tripping his fucking balls off. Holy shit. God is sitting up in the clouds on his throne. He's got some kind of weird fucking creature down there. And then there's like some kind of four-sided wheel that's going nuts. And then there's a city that's on fire in the background. Like, look. Nobody's paying, like, there's all this kind of crazy shit. Whose fucking hand is that? There's just a hand reaching down. Like, he took Ezekiel's paperwork, and I guess they're going to file it in heaven or something.
That's God. No, that's God's right hand. Look, it's like God doesn't have a right hand. Look up in the clouds. It's like ripped off. You see it?
Right. I see both hands there. I mean, maybe.
It looks like his hand's been fucking ripped off.
Maybe they're just bad at drawing hands. I mean, shit. I live in the 21st century and I can't draw fucking hands. But no, look, like everything that's going on in this image right here is like fucking crazy, because not only do you have God sitting on his throne up there missing an arm, which his arm's got his mind of its own, taking Ezekiel's paperwork so they can file it away in heaven for this trippy bullshit. But if you look in the background there's a city that's on fucking fire. Look, I don't know what they did, but they must have butt-fucked everybody in that town, because that's the only reason why God rained some holy shit fire down on a city. If I remember my Sodom and Gomorrah thing correctly, it's because they love butt-fucking. Mm-hmm. That's exactly why Lot offered up his daughters, too, so the crowd could butt-fuck them. Anyways, actually, that'd be more like graping them. But anyways, okay, so what's going on here? Obviously, Ezekiel, he had the whole bag of shrooms. I don't know what you guys want me to say about it. Obviously, he just went face fucking deep in that bag and just ate it all up. It was like, God was like, all right, here's those shrooms you ordered. It's like, oh, are these the fried ones? They're so good. And then, like, you know, dipped them in the ranch sauce, and he probably ate them all up like that. And God's like, hey, you didn't eat all those, did you? And, like, his eyes are probably big as fucking saucers. He sees this angel looking thing. What is it? Is this a cherub? I don't know. It's got 4 heads, wings galore. It's probably covered in eyes. And then there's this wheel that's just sort of chilling out over there. I don't know what the fuck that's about. One random human. Oh, well, that's because one of them is a human, remember? Okay. One of the faces is human. Well, there's a face of a human, there's a face of a lion, there's a hawk, and then there's a goat. Caw-caw! Is what the one in the back said. See, the one in the back's looking backward like, guys, I can't see. Is he freaked out? Caw-caw! And he's like trying to flap his 2 wings, and he's like, I've only got 2 wings. This is bullshit. Caw-caw! And of course the lion's there, and he's like, I don't know what to do with wings. Yeah, I'm sure that the human and the goat's thinking the same thing. Probably the goat over there is probably not thinking shit. If you've ever played Goat Simulator, there is nothing going on in those goats' heads. I'm just saying right now. If you've seen any video of goats, you know that all they think of is and then they spit at people. They go and then they get attacked by the hawk. You know, and the hawk tries to take them off so it can eat them. But anyways, I don't know. Like it. Oh, you know what that might be? This little ball right here, I think this is the first Dyson ball. You know, the Dyson vacuum cleaners that have that ball thingy that they like rotate on in order for you to get in all the nooks and crannies of your floor. I think that this was the first Dyson ball that they were going to use in order to make the first vacuum cleaner. Maybe. I mean, I can't think of any other use for it. Like, what's he going to do? Go bowling with it? Like, you roll that thing down the fucking aisleway, and it's like, God damn it, Ezekiel, why you got to cheat? Because that motherfucker's just going to take out all the pins, you know? So, I don't know what you would do with that other than sit on top of it. And, you know those guys at the circus that, like, stand on top of the balls, and then they do their little run thing inside and everything like that? And they roll the ball inside. I could see Ezekiel being just sort of spaced out of his fucking mind, eyes as big as goddamn saucers. He's on top of this thing like, y'all ain't gonna fuck with me now, are you? I got this from God. And he just runs into whatever city, probably the city that's burning over there. It's like, y'all butt fuck too much, and now God's judging you. With his like fucking 4D ball over there. And then of course you got this little thing. Hold on, let me enlarge it. This guy right here, the little four-headed thing, that's one of those little pets or something like that you get on one of them RPG games. That's like a little decoration. They don't do shit. They just follow you around. It's like, what the fuck is this thing following me around? It sounds like it's in pain all the time, 24/7, and it just wants to be put out of its misery because it's a mutated fucking whatever in the fuck ever that's got 18 bazillion wings and eyes just all over its body. So, there's that. I don't know. This entire scene right here is pretty fucked up, but I do believe that Ezekiel ate all the shrooms. So there you go. Olivia Williams did a super chat, and I'm going to read this before I head on out of here. Let's see. Olivia says the wheels are an ophonym. Ophonym. Offerman? Nick Offerman? That's not Nick Offerman. Ophonym. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but whatever it's called, I'm sure that it can get in every single nook and cranny of your house.
Hey, dipshit. This person just bought you a beer.
Thank you there, Daniel. Daniel says, is that thing rubbing its nipples? Let's see. No, it's the lion. Look, the lion's getting creepy. Look at it. It's like this. Playing with its nipples. Like, I got to get stimulated before I can do this shit. And then the goat's like, are you sure you want to be playing with your nipples right now? And the humans over there are like, I'm pretty fucking sure I want him to play with the nipples. And then the eagle in the back's just like, caw, do it. Caw. Let's see. Secular pagan mom Jesus just sent a super sticker of a unicorn. I feel like a unicorn would be the least problematic thing in this image right now. Like a unicorn.
Just a little bit of money.
I feel like a unicorn would only make more sense in this image right now. Like that would be the most rational thing that you could put in this fucking image. Anyways, huh? What? I'm not being broseat. What are you fucking talking about? I mean, I was just talking. Yeah, I was just talking. Am I talking weird? Anyways, somebody said a horny horse. Yep, it's a horny lion is what it is. Anyways, I'm gonna head on out of here because this is just too fucking freaky for me, I guess. God warned him about the shrooms, so, or maybe he didn't. Maybe it didn't come with a warning. It was just a post hoc thing. Anyways, I'm gonna see y'all later. Y'all have a nice day, night, whatever in the fuck, whenever you're watching this shit. And I guess that I will see you heathens later. Bye, y'all.
Shitty ass science! Bring out the answers of science shit really wrong.
God damn it, Bro Sevis. That jackass just ate them boneless wings right in fucking front of me, knowing that I was craving some goddamn boneless wings. We could have some tomorrow. I agree. Wings to Go does have the best ones. Like, I would love some wings tomorrow for lunch. Okay. Let's do it. All right. So, yeah, this is kind of a crazy picture. And it literally is something that's in the Bible. The Bible definitely describes all of that. I do appreciate Olivia Williams clarifying what the wheel thing is. Oh, fuck me. I did miss Deviant Outcast. I saw. Deviant Outcast said, discrete math, writing really small numbers with a really fine-pointed pen on a teeny tiny paper hidden under a napkin while curled up in the corner dressed in a wallpapered ghillie suit. I would rather have done that than the discrete math. You did. Hey, I mean, he thought they were fried. So if God fried up the magic mushrooms and then gave them ranch, I mean, I feel like people would definitely dip it in the ranch.
I don't think that you fry them.
You don't think you'd fry? Do you think frying magic mushrooms like takes the magic away?
I mean, I don't know, but I've only ever seen anybody eat them raw.
I mean, I've only seen them eat it raw too, but I'm just imagining like here in the South, somebody gets shrooms. It's like, let's batter these motherfuckers up and fry them. Come on, what do you say? And then we'll dip them in ranch sauce. I totally see that being a thing. That would be. Well, they'll fry anything down here in the South, and people will destroy their entire livelihoods in order to fry a turkey. Like, I don't think that's only a Southern thing, but I totally see like Southerners being some of the worst offenders of that. It's like, you gotta fry up the turkey. I mean, I've never eaten a fried turkey, I don't think.
Yes, Terry fried a turkey.
Did he? Okay, so my stepfather fried a turkey once. I guess I just never really realized that he fried a turkey. Well, see, normally he smokes them. He loves to smoke the meats.
He fried it.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. But anyways, yeah, so the key lesson here, don't eat the entire bag of mushrooms or you will see this kind of shit. So there's that. Anyways, all right, y'all ready to get to the to the actual show? It's been nearly an hour, so let's try to bust our way through this video. You know what? I've been going this entire time without my Stream Deck that Casey got me that is immensely helpful in these situations. Yeah. Okay. No, I'm good. Okay. Love you, hon. All right, welcome to the video. Tonight, we're going to be talking about why God is omnibenevolent according to the Bible. So the Bible claims that God is omnibenevolent, and this guy, this apologist, is going to try to fearmonger his audience into accepting that God still is omnibenevolent despite a bunch of shitty things happening in the world. A lot of unnecessary suffering happens, and I feel like an omnibenevolent God only causes more questions than it really gives answers to. So I'm completely invested in this question of why they still consider God to be omnibenevolent. I've only heard lazy answers before. So commonly the answers that I've heard has been like, oh, well, God is the basis of good. God can do no wrong, so therefore God never does wrong. And I don't understand that particular point of view there. So I'm always looking for good answers. He's got two others here that maybe we can go through some other time. So two other questions, like if God made everything, who made God? It's a very specific question for a very specific argument. And then why do we need God if evolution explains everything? That's just not something that atheists ask. And so now we're getting to the question of the night, and that is, why is God considered omnibenevolent? And they're going to use the Bible in order to prove that, which it's kind of interesting. If they were to actually read the portions of the Bible that paint God as not omnibenevolent, I feel like they would change their mind, but let's see where they go with it.
Which is often the source of its strength. How can God be good if there is so much evil in the world? Of course, history certainly records many great evils. The Holocaust inflicted on the Jews.
Fueled by religion. Specifically, forms of Christianity.
The Soviet starvation of Ukrainians in the 1930s.
I mean, I don't know about that one, but God could have easily stepped in, snapped his fingers, and caused that not to happen. So, I mean, at that point, it's like if I sit here with my boneless wings and I'm watching a starving person that I could easily give a wing to, or I could easily share my food with, or I could make it so that that person's not hungry for whatever reason, in any kind of way. and I don't do it, and I sit there and I watch that person starve and continue to starve to death, what does that say about me? Me just sitting there watching that person dying. Like, I feel like that says something really shitty about me. Now, obviously, I'm not talking about places that are seriously affected by starvation, because there is that one famous image of that vulture looking at that starving child, and that photographer actually felt so bad because he couldn't do anything for the child. He was advised by the people he was there with, or by the organization that he was there with, to not do anything to help anybody, that he can't do anything to help them. And so he had to watch, and that guy ended up like killing himself later because he just couldn't handle it. And so it was very, very sad, but I feel like that's the kind of toll that it should take on you. But in this particular instance, the one that he's describing here, which I haven't looked up or anything like that, but the thing that he's describing here, God is just sitting back and watching it happen. Any normal person would have a problem with that. It would be psychologically damaging to them. God just seems to be perfectly fine with it. And he's like, oh shit, look, some bitch over there lost her keys. And he helps Lucy find her keys. So, there's that.
And chattel slavery in the pre-Civil War American South.
Primarily fueled by Christianity. Like, that's what fueled it. Like, they used Christianity in order to convince the slaves to stay slaves, like to justify the slavery. They even used the Bible in the formulation of the laws around slavery in the South. And that all of this information is coming from Dr. Joshua Bowen, who wrote a book on slavery, and in his Atheist Guide to the New Testament, or Atheist Guide to the Old Testament, he has a section in there about the laws in the American South and how they were closely modeled off of the biblical laws. So definitely all of this is modeled off of the Bible. So I don't see how you could sit there and be like, how you can really argue your way around the Bible being a piece of shit book in this respect.
Are just a few examples. And for many of our viewers, the presence of evil in the world hits home in a personal way. Many of you have been robbed, assaulted, or abused. There is no getting around it. Our world is filled with evil. But if so, the atheist asks, how can God be good? After all, why would a good God allow such things? Is he too weak to stop it? Or is he just unaware that evil things happen? If so, then he isn't really God. And yet, if he's all-powerful and all-knowing, and yet he does nothing, then they claim he isn't good, and therefore isn't really God that way either.
Well, it's not that I say that he isn't God, because, like, I feel like that has an assumption that this entity still exists. And so we're admitting that this entity exists. It's just that it's not God, right? So I mean, I have problems with that, the connotation of that. But what I do say is that either God is he can't be unaware of it, right? Because we're talking about the Christian God. So there's three properties that are in conflict: omnibenevolence, omniscience, and omniscience would be all-knowing, and then there's omnipresent. So he's everywhere. He knows all, right? He knows everything that's going on. He knows all. He's omnibenevolent, which would be good. See, it's omniscient, omnibenevolent, and omni something or another. I can't remember what the word is for the omnipresent. Omnipresent, that's what it is. So those are the three that are in conflict here. And so God, if God is all-knowing, like he knows everything, then he definitely knows that the suffering is going on. And if he can't figure out how to circumvent this suffering, then he's not all powerful. see, I can't ever keep these things straight. With the way that they describe the omni God, omnipotent. That's right. Let's see what. Let me look these up. What are the omni attributes of God? Okay, so there are at least 3 necessary properties: omniscience, all-knowing; omnipotence, all-powerful; and omnibenevolence, supremely good or all good. So those are the 3: omniscience, omnipotence, and omnibenevolent God. So in any case, it's a load of fuckery. That's right, they're Sunnian. All 3 of these things are in conflict, because you can't say that God is all good if he, one, knows about suffering and chooses not to do anything with it. If he's not like choosing to do nothing with it, that he actually can't do anything with it, then he's not all powerful. So there are a lot of problems here, but I feel like this is a good argument against the Christian God. Like, because if the Christian God, if the requirement for the Christian God is to be all 3 of those properties, then that God doesn't exist. So it's not that, this entity exists, he's just not God. It's not that. It's that it doesn't exist at all. This book describes a deity or a supernatural being that just simply can't exist. It's logically impossible for this being to exist with the way that we experience reality. So that's what I would say. So I agree with the questions, basically, with the slight nuance to how they phrased it.
Claim this dilemma simply means there is no all-seeing, all-powerful, good God to begin with. So what do we make of this? Well, it's interesting how quick people are to put the blame on God for mankind's evil. And frankly, that is exactly what the devil would want us to do.
That's what the devil would want us to do. Like, I can't take anybody seriously that honestly brings up the devil as like part of the explanation. Like, that's what the devil wants us to do. Also, did you notice the little subtitle there? It's when atheists attack. Like we attack people. I mean, we respond to people, sure, but it's normally because people say dumb shit in the first place. It's not that we're attacking anybody, other than we're attacking the bad arguments. There are, on occasion, public people that do get attacked, but for the most part, for the general experience, people aren't being attacked. It's more of this persecution complex, you know?
It is interesting that when Adam and Eve first sinned by disobeying God and eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, the first thing they both did was try to pass the buck.
Well, here's my problem with the whole eating the apple and doing wrong thing, right? So if you read the story of Adam and Eve, which if you want to, you can go to the Daily Bible Podcast down below, which is going to be updated, I believe, this weekend. The updates are going to start flowing again for the audio version of the podcast. But the Daily Bible Podcast, we go through the Adam and Eve story in the very first episode of the podcast. So if you want to go and check that out, please do. But if you think about the story, Adam and Eve are created by God, and then God just says, hey, there's a tree out here, don't eat the fruit from it. And they're like, okay, we won't. But the thing is that they don't have the knowledge of good and evil. They don't know what's good and bad. They don't know that it's a bad thing not to obey God. God just expects them to know that it's a bad thing without being given the ability to know that it's a bad thing. So there again is another logical problem for Christianity and Judaism, the Abrahamic God in general, because there's no way for Adam and Eve to know that it's good to obey God and bad to disobey God, but God punishes them anyways. God punishes them for disobeying God, for disobeying himself. And so like, I just don't see that as being like rational. Like, that seems like an irrational thing. to do. And I've never understood it, like, as far as me being an atheist. When I was a Christian, I just listened and believed. I'm the first one to tell you I was a gullible fuck. You told me that Adam and Eve were the source of all people on this earth. I was like, okay, cool. Well, that answers that question, I guess. Like, where did everybody come from? How did humans develop? Like, that's it. Because I remember as a kid, I wrote down in like a little journal thing that I tried writing one time, and I'm like, if Adam and Eve are really the source of all humanity, then that means that we're all cousins. And like, my gullible, indoctrinated brain was like, that's perfectly fine. I didn't understand anything about population genetics or genetics in general or anything of that sort. So anyways, let's let this guy continue.
After God asked them about it, we read their responses in Genesis 3. Then the man said, "The woman whom you gave to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I ate." And the Lord God said to the woman, "What is this you have done?" The woman said, "The serpent deceived me, and I ate."
Just a little bit of money.
Olivia Williams, thank you so much for your super chat there. Olivia says God is the parent who left the poison in the kiddie park and blamed the child for eating it. Yep, exactly. That's exactly what God did. He put the poison in the middle of the kiddie park. He put the red button there, told people not to push it, but didn't tell them that, I guess didn't give them the knowledge of it, or, they just simply didn't have the knowledge to not push it. Like, they were just told it. They didn't actually understand it. I feel like this is more of an informed consent kind of situation there. Now, the more that I think about it, it's like, oh, you just told somebody something, but they didn't completely understand it. So there's no way that they could consent to that particular paradigm or like that particular rule. Like it's not like they could consent to actually understanding what God was talking about. How can you really, if somebody doesn't understand something like that, how can you really blame them because they didn't understand? Like, I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, he's talking about how our inclination is to pass the buck off to somebody else, to not take responsibility for our actions. But I feel like this is all propagandistic shit that's in the Bible. Like this is propagandistic. It's painting the human race in a certain light, saying that everybody has these baser needs of deceit and not taking responsibility for ourselves. And he's broad brushing with the entire human race with that idea. And that's just, it's never a good idea to broad brush an entire species, let alone a single demographic of people.
So Adam blamed Eve, and Eve blamed the devil. In fact, if you look more closely...
Before he continues with the more closely bit, it's not actually the devil, it's just the serpent. It's some kind of evil force. The Bible never actually names the serpent as the devil. I know that later on people kind of identified the serpent with Satan or the devil, but God doesn't, or not God, but the Bible doesn't ever actually in Genesis say that that's the devil. It's just sort of like evil incarnate or something like that, which you could make an argument that is the devil, evil incarnate, but that's just simply not the way that the Jews understood it, for one, the Israelites, the Jews, and that's also a much later development. It's anachronistic to call the serpent the devil.
Adam blamed God. Note he said, "The woman whom you gave to be with me." And to this day, people continue to blame God for the evil mankind is responsible for. Consider the evils we...
Well, so there are very specific things that I blame God for as far as evil goes. So because the Bible says that God knits us in the womb, like God knows us before we're born, some people make that argument. In that respect, God is responsible for genetic diseases, which is one of these cases of unnecessary suffering in the world that happen on a methodological, naturalistic perspective. It's because of the flawed nature of biological organisms in general. Like the way that our cells replicate, the way that we procreate, it's prone to errors. And that's one of the errors that happens. So it's, I hate to say it, but it's kind of a shit happens sort of situation, right? Like, because it's a natural process, it's not perfect, and therefore imperfect shit happens, which would be the genetic diseases. That would be one thing. And then you have these certain things called the acts of God. And that would pretty much just be like natural disasters, right? Because these are things that are not necessarily caused by humans. You could make some arguments for certain things being humans, like how dangerous the hurricanes are getting now because we have changed the climate. And because we've changed the climate, that means that the hurricanes and the tornadoes and everything like that are more frequent and they're more powerful. So in that way, we have affected the environment that fucks us up. But these are still like considered acts of God, right? These are acts of nature. These are natural things that happen. And so in that, you can make a cogent argument that God's responsible for that because it was thought at one time that God controls the weather. I don't know if y'all remember, but not so long ago, you had politicians right here in the United States of America that were claiming that things like autism and hurricanes and tornadoes, even mass shootings are these judgments levied on us by God. So even if you go into the Old Testament of the Bible, you see God exacting judgment on not only his people, but other people as well in the area that the Israelites were in. So, I mean, there are certain things that God is directly responsible for. Now, does that mean that I think God is responsible for Jimmy robbing a store and killing the clerk? No, I don't think that God is necessarily responsible for that. But what I do fault God for is those types of things occurring. And since he's all knowing and all powerful, he knows how to stop that without intervening with free will and all this other stuff. But he can do it. He can stop it. He can circumvent it. And he chooses not to. That says something about him, right? If he exists. So if you're really tied to this whole idea of omnibenevolence, then, God allowing that to happen isn't God like necessarily being the reason why it happened, but it does make him responsible for it happening in general. Like the fact that it was allowed to happen is God's fault. In that particular sense. Now, do I think that that's like a representation of reality? Like, is God really doing this? No, because I don't think God exists. But under the idea of this this tri-omni God, it just...
Tater's gonna tate.
Under this idea of a tri-omni God, it just doesn't make logical sense. Like, there's no way this tri-omni God can be a tri-omni God if these things happen. Nicholas Lamar Suitor, Suitor, $4.99 Suitor says, if God must allow evil so that we may have free will, then he is not omnipotent. If not, if God has the power to give us free will without evil, then evil is hereby his choice, period. Yep. That's right. That's a good statement there, Nick. I totally agree with that.
Mentioned earlier, the Holocaust, the cruelty of the Soviets, and slavery, or for that matter...
What about, hold on, so he said chattel slavery in the United States. What about chattel slavery in the Bible? I think that's a better thing to question right there, especially considering that God is directly responsible for the Israelites taking chattel slaves in the Bible. Why does this guy have to focus on shit that's outside of the Bible? Why can't he put up three things right there that that are representative of things that God has directly commanded in the Old Testament? The source of all these problems, because chattel slavery in the Old Testament that's allowed by God. What's another thing?
Here comes the gravy train.
Thank you there, Eric Hamion, for helping us donate to charities. I appreciate you so much there, bud. Another thing, that's chattel slavery. What about sexual slavery? Numbers 31 has clear-cut chattel or sexual slavery in it. And then at any point in the Bible where you have a girl being sold off to some creepy ass fucking dude, that is also considered sexual slavery. How about you handle those two things? What about up there at the top? How about killing countless Israelites just because they allowed other religions to practice in Israel and all this other shit? Like, there's so many things that you could put here that are directly related to the Bible. It kind of makes it seem like he's not honestly interacting with this topic so that he can paint a certain narrative, a narrative that is, I guess, set in a modern sense. But in these particular ways, I mean, they are concerned with the Bible, but at the same time, they are less concerned with the Bible and what it says and the definition of God than the things that I listed. It would be more honest for him to go over the various things directly in the Bible that are directly commanded by God and try to explain them. But he doesn't, because that would be an uncomfortable situation. Then you get into the Mike Winger, William Lane Craig situations where you say that, oh, it's a good thing that young children were killed by the sword because then they went to heaven and instead of living in a pagan society and eventually burning in hell. It's a good thing that they were killed. That's what both of them fuckers say.
Robberies, assaults, or abuses. Those are evil actions inflicted by human beings, and the blame for them should lie with those human beings. Still, the question remains.
So just a quick aside, it should definitely lie on those human beings, right? Everything okay? Oh, okay. Oh shit. Okay. Well, okay. Anyways, I do think that it should be their responsibility. Like, they should be responsible for that. But if you're sitting here and you're trying to convince me that there's this tri-omni God that exists, I don't understand why you would try to convince me of that. I just don't. Hey, honey, I've got my thing over here if you need to charge yours.
I'm going to plug mine into, I'm plugging mine in. I have a plug over here.
Okay.
I just put do you want me to put yours on yours?
I mean, I can.
Okay. Just make sure your phone is as charged as possible.
Yeah, I got it. All right. Sorry, we've got like a tornado situation coming from Mississippi, and so we just need to be prepared over here. So anyways, yeah, so it definitely should be their responsibility. They should take responsibility for that. But if you're going to sit there and say that there's this tri-omni God, then he would be ultimately responsible for those things happening. Not that he caused them to happen, but he is responsible for allowing them to happen.
Why does God allow such human beings to commit evil? Part of that answer is founded upon the need for humans to have free will, which must include the ability to choose to do the wrong thing. God's purpose for us requires growing in character, specifically learning to possess God's own character.
Don't tell me about God's fucking character. I'm sorry. Every single person that he has shown is more moral than Yahweh is. You know how I know? Well, I guess I can't really know these people. They could be fucking serial killers. Who fucking knows? What I do know is that I am definitely more moral than his God, because I would never and could never order people to slaughter innocent, defenseless children, babies, women. Like, God does that in the Bible several times in the Old Testament. Don't fucking tell me about God's goddamn character, okay? Because you don't want to go there. God's character is shit, okay? God's character is not above reproach. He does heinous shit in the Old Testament, things that we would consider to be war crimes now. But he's like, but we have to work ourselves up to being as good as God's character. The fuck are you talking about? Unless you're some kind of like psychopath, maniac, mass shooter, like you're going to be more moral than God. Like the people that try to take on God's character, they're fucking fascist dictators.
To choose the right over the wrong. And growing in character requires the ability to make choices, free will choices, which includes the possibility of choosing evil and causing suffering, along with the possibility of choosing the good and to endure suffering. When you
Y'all think God suffers? Like, if God exists, do you think that he's suffering at any particular point up there in heaven? Like, God doesn't suffer up there in heaven. I mean, in the Bible, God talks about suffering. But, I mean, it's a lot like a child in the middle of a supermarket who's throwing a holy hell tantrum and like going boneless on the floor, kicking his legs to where they do that thing where they spin around in a circle, all because you won't buy him a fucking toy. That's essentially the character and the demeanor of God in the Old Testament. Okay? Because God in the Old Testament, he will go on drunken rampages where he punishes the Israelites for simply allowing other people to worship other gods in Israel. God gets upset when the Israelites don't only worship him, they also worship other gods. And so it's really weird to me to hear this from a Christian, because it shows that this Christian is one of two things. He's either too incompetent to read his book, or he's lying. I'm more than happy to throw in a third option here. I mean, you could say that he doesn't consider, like you could say, well, he doesn't consider those things to be bad because God did them, so therefore they're good. Well, I mean, I feel like that's really just shooting yourself in the foot there, because then you're describing your own self as being this horrible fucking monster who thinks it's good to like stab children in the chest. As long as they're in a different religion and a different culture, they're worshiping pagan shit. As long as they're doing that, you can kill a child fine, according to that particular kind of logic. So I really don't think that Christian apologists really want to go there, because then you have to end up saying some horrible shit like it's a good thing that kids are killed. And so he's either lying or he's incompetent. I feel like those are the two situations there. And Kevin Beeler has something to add here. Kevin Beeler says, did God have a drinking problem? God definitely did have a drinking problem, okay? You just read certain portions of the Old Testament. I mean, he's indistinguishable from a drunken wife beater running around in a muscle shirt, and he's like slapping the shit out of the Israelites. I mean, it's several points. Oh, that's okay. I thought you were trying to get my attention. No. But anyways, so yeah, definitely. This guy is either lying or he's incompetent. At this point, you just got to pick one.
Understand the purpose of God, you come to understand that the eternal good that God is producing through his plan of developing his own righteous character in human beings is of such reality-altering significance that it will outweigh all the evil mankind has ever committed or experienced. In fact, the Apostle Paul says just that in Romans chapter 8 and verse 18. For I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. For the earnest expectation of the creation eagerly waits for the revealing of the sons of God. For the creation was subjected to futility, not willingly, but because of him who subjected it in hope. Because the creation itself also will be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of God.
So I kind of feel like at this point he's trying to suggest that there is evil in this world. God knows about it, and God is allowing it to happen. But that's okay. It's a good thing because, like, everybody's going to be saved later. Like, everybody that should be saved or will be saved, they are going to be saved later. And so, like, it's fine that all this bad shit's happening because this is the depravity of man. And God doesn't really care about the things that happen, maybe because there's going to be this new earth, there's going to be this salvation and everything like that. Like, God's going to bring all of it home. And so that makes it okay, I guess. I don't know. We'll let him continue, but I mean, this just goes to show that I feel like the root of this is the afterlife. Like, they are so hell-bent on the afterlife that they're willing to forego shit that's happening in the one life that we know that we have for the hope of the afterlife. And so they're totally willing to just disregard whatever happens to them in this life because they got this afterlife waiting for them. And I feel like that really devalues this life. And I'm not in the business of devaluing this life. I'm very much in value this life that we have because, like I said, it's the only life that we know that we have. So why not cherish it, enjoy it, and try to make the world a better place for, our children or future people? Like, why not do things for us now to make the world a better place now? Why wait until we die? I just will never understand that.
Notice the
The white thing? The white thing?
The white rechargeable battery.
This thing?
Yes.
Okay.
How do I?
Oh, it's got a... You got it? Okay.
The current sufferings we experience aren't even worthy to be compared to the glory to come.
So... let me get this straight. His answer for it is that the sufferings that occur now are so small in comparison to the afterlife that you just don't even need to worry about it. Israelites, stab a small child in the heart. No need to worry about it. Republicans pass anti-abortion laws and cause maternity deaths to go up, to skyrocket, to be twice as high as they've been in the past few years. Oh, don't worry about it because they went to heaven or some shit like that because, they didn't get an abortion and they died because of the pregnancy. So they went to heaven because, that's how God works. Yay! And it's really insignificant compared to God. Yay! I feel like that's bullshit. And I'm not happy with that answer. Like, I'm not happy with you just got to grit your teeth and bear it because we're all going to a field where we'll frolic and we'll get to spend all day in the sun and playing with our friends and seeing our family. Like, that's a nice idea, I guess, to do that for eternity if that were what the Bible describes as heaven. Like, that's a totally that's a total fantasy. The Bible does not describe heaven in that way. Heaven is just 24/7 praising Jesus and God, rather. I don't care how big God's glory is. God's fucking 15-foot glory in the sky does not trump the suffering that we are going through in reality.
In fact, notice too that Paul says that creation itself is suffering and will be delivered in that day to come. One of the curses of mankind's sin in the Garden of Eden was that we removed God as the caretaker of creation, as if we can do it all ourselves without him. God explains to Adam in Genesis 3, verses 17 through 19, that creation will no longer be accommodating to man in any special way, but will go its own course.
I'm sorry. This totally ignores the history of the planet, because it's not that God has made the earth unfavorable to human life. That's how it always was. Like the planet Earth is unfavorable to most all life, because all life that has existed on this planet at one point up until this point has died. Like it's just amazing to me that they're like, oh, everything was fine in the Garden of Eden, which if you actually read your Bible, it's in like 2 Corinthians or something or another. It actually says that the Garden of Eden is in the third heaven. That's what Paul believed. That's what early Jews believed, that the third heaven is where Eden exists, right? And then Adam and Eve were cast out of the third heaven to the earth. So even on biblical cosmology, what you have is the earth always being hostile to life. It's only in the heavens is it perfect. And if you don't believe me, you check it out. It's being called up to the third heaven. Hold on. Let me case for mythicism. It's 2 Corinthians 12, 2 through 4. I believe I've got it right here. Yep. It says, I know a man in Christ who 14 years ago was caught up to the third heaven, third heaven, whether in the body or out of the body, I do not know, God knows. And I know that this man was caught up into paradise, whether in the body or out of the body, I do not know, God knows. And he heard things that cannot be told, which man may not utter. 2 Corinthians 12, 2 through 4. So this is Paul saying that Eden, or paradise, is in the third heaven, right? That's where Adam and Eve originally were. And so there's no way that it can be said that God changed the earth. God didn't change the earth. The earth has always been the way that it's been. It's just that God cast them out of heaven. But in any case, never mind all that. This guy's a creationist, so obviously he thinks that physics and the earth fundamentally changed after a woman ate a fruit. And he thinks that this is a rational explanation.
Mankind needs to learn the full lesson that we need God. And
no, we don't need God at all. And I'm talking from a strictly analytical point of view here. We don't need God because there's nothing in this world that exists where we need God as an explanation. And I dare you to try me on this, because at every single point, any topic that you can bring up, any subject that you can bring up, I can guarantee you, I can give you a natural explanation for it. Or I could just tell you that we don't know yet. But that doesn't automatically mean that God did it, right? God is not the default, the de facto explanation, right? So, I can give you the natural explanation for it, or I can tell you that we just simply don't know yet. It's unexplained, but that doesn't mean that God did it.
That attempting to build a world without him leads only to suffering.
This isn't exactly true. If you take a look at societies now that are pretty irreligious, like you got Norway, Sweden, so a bunch of other countries that are built off of more secularist ideas and humanistic ideas, you'll find that they are they are faring a lot better than some of the most religious countries out there. So this is in fact false.
as we are then left vulnerable to the afflictions of nature, our own evils, and the twistings and persecutions of the devil.
First of all, it doesn't matter, like, for him to say that without God we're left to the afflictions of nature is just totally ignorant of how many times per day people pray to God for some natural thing to be averted. And does that natural thing ever be averted? I mean, sometimes. But I mean, I think that it's not because of the prayer. I think that it's just because shit happens. And the same could be said for when a natural event isn't averted. Natural shit just happens. Like, it's just, it's not necessarily coincidence. There are explanations for why certain things happen and why certain things don't. But as far as, like, you know, this transcendental, why did this happen? Shit just happens. And so no amount of prayer is going to change that. Commonly, whenever this gets brought up, I like to say, shit in one hand, pray in the other. Which one fills up faster? I guarantee you it's the shit one.
If you're a parent, you understand what God is doing if you think about it. How many times must parents allow a child to experience a taste of the results of their own bad choices before they know the lesson will sink in?
I mean, I definitely think as a parent, you know, in a very controlled way, allowing your children to experience the consequences of their decisions, I think that's a very big life lesson for them to learn. I think that they should understand that, definitely. And how many times should you do it? I mean, you know, at some point, you know, they're either going to understand it, but be fine with suffering the consequences, or maybe they just won't ever learn. I mean, I don't know. But, I mean, I don't understand how this relates to God other than this whole parental figure thing. Maybe he'll explain. I doubt it, though.
Well, in God's case, he's not just teaching one child, but literally all of humanity. And the lessons need to make an impact for eternity.
So you're trying to tell me that there's no way for God to teach these lessons that don't include allowing the suffering to happen? Because, like, this is a bit of a false analogy here, because, like, the parent is not going to allow the child to, like, for instance, handle massive amounts of plutonium and get cancer and die, right? Whereas God would. Well, I mean, I don't think God exists, so I don't think God does anything. But on this particular view, God is the parent that would allow the child to do something that would cause them to die. God would allow the child to do something enough times to where they would put their lives in danger and die. Or God would put them through some kind of suffering that's really not a lesson for anything. How do you pass off like genetic diseases as like a lesson for something, like some kind of suffering? Like, it's not like a bad decision that a kid is made to get bone cancer or to have some other kind of genetic disease. It's not like they made a decision that they need to be taught about. Those are just fucking shit that happens. So this entire analogy here is shit. I don't know why he's making it, other than he's just not actually thinking about the argument that he's making. He's just like, oh, this sounds good. Fuck, throw that in there. Put a nice little watch graphic over it and shit. People will eat that up.
The stakes of these lessons could not possibly be higher. Yet we have God's promise that at the time of restoration of all things, the glory that is revealed in the children of God will far outshine any evil that has ever been committed and any suffering that has ever been experienced.
I feel like you could rephrase this and say, listen, heaven is better than God sitting there watching a woman get raped in an alley. Because that's what one of the little clips that he put in there was a guy following a woman down an alley. Obviously, that's, they're either going to assault them and take their stuff, or they're going to grape them or whatever in the fuck. But to sit there and be like, oh, heaven is going to be better than anything that you could suffer here in this life. So these are really just minuscule things. You just got to focus on going to heaven. And like that totally ignores like the effects that suffering has on this life and how, and I feel like it can make you just sort of put it out of sight, out of mind that people are suffering and that there are things that we can do to reduce that suffering or in some instances prevent suffering. But you don't have, people like this really appealing to anything that happens in this life. All they're sitting there thinking about is, oh, it's going to be great when we can frolic around in the fields in heaven. This is like so fucked up.
Such that they will not even come to mind anymore forever.
Well, yeah, because you're not supposed to think about anything other than praising Jesus' dick. And when you're up there in heaven, that's supposed to be on your mind 24/7, just praising his dick. That's all you're supposed to do in heaven. So yeah, you're not going to be thinking about all the suffering that you had here on earth because you're going to be a totally different fucking individual.
We should all pray that time comes quickly. So to summarize an answer to this third attack.
No. I do not. I like how it's third attack. It's not just like a question that we have about their bullshit theology. It's this attack. It's an attack on Christianity. That's disingenuous. But I like how he said, oh, we should all pray for this to happen soon. No, I don't pray for death. I don't pray for this afterlife or this coming glory. Like, I don't pray for that because then that means that I'm dead. I don't pray for my own death, or I don't wish, in translating it to my own personal position, I don't wish for death on a daily basis. Maybe that's just a fundamental difference between me and this dipshit here, is that I don't wish for that on a daily basis. I treasure my life. And I feel like if you're sitting there praying and wishing for heaven, it kind of seems like you don't value what's going on here. This entire video has been him not valuing what's going on in our lives now and instead grasping for what he thinks is waiting for him after he dies. I've got too much shit going on in my life to focus on death. I'm more focused on the here and now and what good I can do with my life and how positive of an effect I can have on people around me, on my community, just on everybody. I'm too focused on that to care about the whole death thing. I care about preventing death. If that's what I would say. I care enough to try to prevent my own death. I do the things that I need to do to stave off death as long as I can. But it kind of seemed like he gave the he gave the shit. What the fuck word am I looking for here? He gave the advice that you should wish for death or pray for heaven to come or pray for all of us to go to heaven quicker. Like, I know what he's saying, and I know that it's not like he's consciously being like, oh, I wish I would die today. I so wish that God would just take me up and kill me right now. Like, I get that he's not thinking of it that way. But when I hear that, and I think about the ramifications of what it means to hope for heaven to come quicker, I think, well, what does that mean? Well, that means that I'm going to die. I'm going to die and I guess go to heaven. Well, that means that I'm hoping for a quicker death. I'm hoping for this life to end sooner than it is already going to end for me. I'm not doing that. And I think it's ridiculous for somebody to present it like that.
Evil in the world is a consequence of man's free will.
Evil is a subject. Well, evil, good, bad, those kinds of things. Those are all subjective it really depends on your point, like on your own personal opinion as to what is evil and what is bad and what is good. Everybody has their own moral foundation with which to judge these actions or these situations with. So that's really a subjective thing. And it's not a consequence of man's free will. It's just a consequence of sentient beings. It's a consequence of having a moral foundation, being able to identify evils in the world.
Yet God is using our choices to achieve an eternal good that will far outweigh any suffering mankind has ever experienced.
I don't think, like, even if heaven does exist, which we don't know that it does, I mean, well, I guess I would say that if heaven does exist and it's an eternity afterwards, and you want to be in heaven, right? You want to be up there praising God all the time. Then I feel like that does, in fact, reduce the value of this life to you. Because this life is just preventing you from being in heaven that much longer. Which, I mean, you could arguably say that because heaven is eternal, the amount of time between now and when I die, and then getting to eternity, that time frame is essentially nil as well. But at the same time, it's like, the value of this life is also reduced to nil because, you know, it's just preventing you from going to heaven. Whereas from my own perspective is I don't know what happens after this life. And I don't think that there's any way that we can know what happens after this life. But what I do know is that I have this life now and I want to make the best of it. I want to do everything that I can, that I want to do that's within reason. So, I mean, that's just where I stand on it. We got a couple more seconds of this.
The fact is, we are living in an increasingly skeptical world in which God is being effectively shoved into a corner as the movers and shakers of society seek to create a civilization that pretends he does not exist.
What the fuck? Like, that is not what's going on. Like, the United States, where this fucker probably lives, is not being molded into a society that pretends that God doesn't exist. I mean, we've got In God We Trust on our money. I mean, we've got acknowledgments of God all throughout our society. I mean, here in Alabama, I could throw a rock and it could hit a church, ricochet, hit another church, ricochet, and hit a priest in the head. Like, that's what it would do. So, I mean, don't sit there and try to act like the United States is some kind of godless nation now, or that we're working to remove God from society. That's not what is happening. This is just fear-mongering bullshit being peddled by this guy. And it's just so ridiculous to hear because anybody with a rational thought in their head would be able to recognize that most of the politicians that are elected to our government are religious, are Christian, a majority Christian. They're Christian. God's not being erased. Christians are still the majority here in America for now. The nuns are growing. The Muslim demographics growing, but Christians are still on top. Y'all are losing numbers fast. Y'all are bleeding them pretty quick. But I mean, y'all are still top dog out there. Y'all got the biggest 15-foot penis, okay? Anyways, that's it for his video there. Thank you, heathens, for joining me tonight. I was really unimpressed with this guy's video, obviously. I don't really take kindly to being fear-mongered, which is exactly what this guy was doing. I don't like it at all, but, you know, that's the apologist, broken record. That's what they always do. They always fearmonger. One thing that did surprise me was his advice to wish for heaven to come sooner, which I translate into wish for death to come sooner, or something like that. And that's kind of surprising to me. It's also surprising to know that he considers the suffering in this world to be so minuscule in comparison to the heaven that exists afterwards, to the glory of God. And I feel like at that point, someone's bullshitting you. You know that someone is trying to convince you that A bowl of shit is actually chocolate ice cream. I don't care if you put chocolate sprinkles, or not chocolate sprinkles, but like fruity sprinkles on top of the shit. It's not going to turn it into chocolate ice cream, okay? It's still a bowl of shit. Huh? Oh, it was the cup that did it. Okay. But anyways, while I'm not like impressed by the video, it was enlightening to how this particular guy sees the world and everything like that. If you will, please let me know what you thought about his video down below in the comments or in the side chat right now. I'd really appreciate it. If you will, while you're down there leaving me a comment, why don't you smash that like button and subscribe if you like this kind of video. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, heathens. But don't go, because we have the Skeptic Mafia to get to. The Skeptic Mafia, in case you guys don't know, is the memberships here on the channel. They help us donate to charities. They help us run the channel here. We really appreciate our Skeptic Mafia members, which we've got to get a podcast recorded sometime soon, but just there's been shit going on like every single weekend. But we will get that done soon. A part of the perks for being part of the Skeptic Mafia at the Mafioso level or higher is that you get to leave a comment on the video that we watch on Friday nights. And so we're about to go through those comments right now. Sometimes the Skeptic Mafia has some of the best insights to these videos, so they really deliver a lot of value to the topic being discussed. If you want to be a part of that, join the Skeptic Mafia today. You can do it for as little as $2. So please consider doing that. But we do have to get to the Skeptic Mafia comments, and I'm doing that right now. How's the weather looking over there, hon? Not awesome.
I don't know the path.
What?
I mean, it's a while away. We're probably gonna be up until about 3 in the morning, just so you know.
Oh, okay. Are we gonna need to be downstairs?
I mean, we can be up here.
Okay.
Watching. We're gonna need to go in the shelter today. I'm sure of it.
Okay.
I've got all the stuff packed.
All right.
I'm charging the batteries for our weather radio.
Yeah, my phone's like half charged.
I'm also gonna take those battery packs.
Okay. So sorry, guys. All right. Sorry, we just got to do some weather planning real quick. Because it is not looking good, and for whatever reason. Okay. Yeah, I've got both my pins right here, so that'll work. Here, what? As you can tell, I'm trying to zoom in, and it's not allowing me, and I don't see zoom. Here we go. It was not cooperating with me. All right, so we do have some comments. So first up is Jonathan Hanachek that just says no comment. Thank you so much there, Jonathan. Appreciate your no comment. Next up is Jester, Lord of Fools, that says, sorry, sir, but even in our reality, those with a stable upbringing tend to stand up to torture for righteous causes better. There are no grounds that make child suffering lead to holier folk. The idea would be a universe that didn't test us and simply made us with no insecurities or evil desires. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I believe Nick Suitor said that earlier. That's definitely a solution there. Just make evilness not a thing. All right, Jonathan Nickel. Says the summary at the beginning explained the dilemma. How could a God with the omni traits that Christians claim both allow suffering and be good? This guy's response that God gave humans free will and that we choose to do evil things just doesn't work. Yet I hear this claim all the time from Christians. One of those omni traits that Christians like to gift to their God is omniscience. Combine that with omnipotence and free will is impossible. Yahweh would know ahead of time everything that we do and be in a position to prevent it. In fact, those two omni traits alone are enough to debunk the concept of sin entirely and lay the blame for everything that ever happens on the Christian God. A decent parent would not allow their child to run amok and cause excessive harm as some sort of learning experience, as some soft learning experience, maybe. Even if they did punish the child afterwards, a responsible parent would intervene long before the damage was done. Does God intervene in anything ever? No. As for the Adam and Eve story, Adam may have passed the buck by blaming Eve or God. However, the serpent was not Satan. Eve blamed a snake. Ultimately, though, the blame would rest with God. According to the story, it was God who placed that tree in the garden. Even if he wasn't omniscient, he surely he would have known that Adam and Eve were innocent at the time and could not have known that it was wrong to eat the fruit. That's what I pointed out too. Thank you so much there, Jonathan, for agreeing with me. After that, he says it doesn't matter because of a promise of a life beyond this one, which will render the sum of human suffering meaningless. Did he just tell all those who suffered great torment or lost loved ones whilst Yahweh sat back and did nothing to prevent such harm that they just have to wait for something better? If that something better is an eternity in the presence of God, who would not lift a finger, but would rather blame all the sufferings of the world on free will, I think I'll pass. I noticed that this guy is presenting a TV show entitled Tomorrow's World. There was a show in the UK called Tomorrow's World. It was forward-thinking, broadcast live, and showcased developments in science and human achievements. This program offers an empty vision of an unproven future as described in historic texts. Unlike this show, the one from the UK could at least back up its claims with demonstrable evidence. I used to enjoy the UK show. I don't think I'd bother to watch even one episode of this mess. I couldn't be bothered to watch an entire episode of this shit either. I just fast forwarded to like the question that seemed to be the most interesting, and I picked that one. Thank you so much there, Jonathan Nickel. I appreciate your comment. And then we got Deus Ex Tomato, who says, "Hey Vsauce, Tomato here. We won't have time to watch tonight, but I can go ahead and answer the question. No, God is not omnibenevolent because he doesn't exist. There, debunk over. Thanks for attending my TED Talk. Now onto the ASCII. You've been fucking hit by the shut the fuck up truck. No, shut the fuck up truck. No. And if you don't want to get hit by the shut the fuck up truck, don't make stupid ass fucking arguments, because all I really need to debunk the omnipotence argument is Epicurus's problem of evil, which I won't go into. But if y'all like this kind of juicy content, go ahead and lick that like button, slurp that subscribe, and fuck it, just lick your entire phone. No. Work every crevice of that fucker. Make sure it knows the wrath of your ton. Wait, getting a phone call. Yeah? God damn it. It's just a I know. Some of them are that stupid. Okay, love you too. Bye. Okay, so the lawyers are telling me to stop telling you to lick your phones. They also told me to say that Casey is always right and that I am indeed a snack. Thank you so much there, Deus Ex Tomato. And that seems to be it. See, none held for review. Y'all saw me check. Oh, wait, I read gestures. Okay, awesome. That's it. Yeah, I know this one was kind of like a duh. Yeah, why not? Hold on, let me get back to the main screen. I know this particular show was kind of like a duh kind of moment. Duh, as in, yeah, he's not omnibenevolent and all this other stuff, and it's just going to be another Christian saying a bunch of horrible shit. But I still think it's very important to analyze what they're saying, what they're presenting, and the kind of fear-mongering that they're presenting to their crowd. So I appreciate everybody stopping by to watch and listen to me rant at this guy talking about this bullshit. Thank you so much for everybody, all the Skeptic Mafia members that commented. And, I've actually got to go because we might be getting hit by a tornado soon. So I will see you heathens later, hopefully. And Resident Evil 4 just recently came out, so I would love to be able to try to stream that game maybe tomorrow or something like that. We've also got Diablo 4 that's come out, so I'm probably going to be busy with that too. But we got a full week of content next week, so I hope that you guys have a lovely weekend, a lovely night, and don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, heathens.